The competition is heating up on this season of Dancing with the Stars, and we're reacting to the best and worst of week 6. Hey guys, welcome back to another Shared News from Home. We are so excited to continue discussing this season of Dancing with the Stars. But before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and tonight, filling in for Tyler is the wonderful Avery Groom.
Hello.
Hello. So Avery, are you a fan of Dancing with the Stars? Do you love the show?
Yes, I'm a Dancing with the Stars fan. I have been watching the show since I was so little. I remember being so young when I first started watching. And I have to say, I stopped watching it for a while. And it wasn't really until this season that I started watching it again. I think what kind of drew me in the most was the cast. This was like the first season where I could say I knew most of the names. So yeah, it's been a really entertaining season so far.
Oh my God, it absolutely has. I am in the same boat as you. Watched it for years, kind of dropped off, but this season is so good. Honestly, let's dive right in because the competition was seriously heating up this week. It is getting so intense. This week we had 4 27s, which means 4 couples tied for first place. 4, which is crazy. We are, of course, going to talk the best 3 and worst 3 based on the judges' scores, and of course, our own opinions do come into play a little bit. And we also have the honorable mention category to praise someone who's been in the middle, but really gave it their all this week. Let's start with some of the lower scorers. First up with the 3rd lowest score of the night, coming in with a 22 was Johnny Weir and his partner Britt. This was a bit of a shock. Johnny and Britt danced the salsa to J-Lo's On the Floor. He shared that the song reminds him of nights out with his close friends. His costume was incredible. There was a lot of fun. There was a lot of excitement, but it just wasn't his best. Let's take a look at his performance. The fringe.
I love it.
So good. So obviously, I mean, the costume was incredible. The song was so fun. The judges were complimentary, but it sort of was underwhelming compared to some of the other performances he's done. I know the judges said they wanted him to be more grounded. They felt like they needed more in the hips. I kind of feel like this was just an off night for Johnny. What were your thoughts, Avery?
Right, it felt just a little bit off. I mean, I loved the dance, the song, the costume, super high energy, but he did have a couple little mishaps and it wasn't his best performance, but I don't think it was horrible. It just, like you said, was a little off.
I think we've come to expect him to be, like, a couple of his performances have been so unbelievable that the bar is just like set higher, which obviously can be flattering, but I also think that it can get you into trouble. It can be hard to live up to like the own expectations he set.
Right, because once there's such a good dance, you just expect more from that person, even if it's not that bad. I mean, this was not horrible whatsoever, just wasn't his best.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to our second lowest score of the night, a 21, which went to Vernon Davis and his partner, Pita. They danced the cha-cha to Celebration by Kool and the Gang. Vernon opened up about how the song reminds him of his late grandpa and he wanted to honor him this week. Their costumes were fun, colorful, and the performance really did have great energy. Let's take a look.
I love his like smile.
I know, it's so cute. I mean, this dance looked so fun. He had a huge smile the entire time. He looked super comfortable. The judges did take off some points for technical issues, but overall, I still just loved the energy. I mean, he's not a dancer, but he still made it look comfortable. You know, it wasn't super awkward. What did you think, Fiona?
Oh my gosh, I totally agree. I love Vernon. I think he's been so fun throughout this competition, but Tyler and I have been talking like week after week. People like this you root for, but the talent in a season like this, it's gonna get hard for Vernon because he's still getting docked like super hardcore for technical issues that some of the other competitors have just soared past already. So I think like the judges said, like, you're such a joy to watch. You light up the stage. You're so great, but he just can't overcome these technical challenges. I know one of the judges said he needed to use the ball of his foot. He was leading with the heel of his foot. And I'm just thinking like, he was leading with the wrong part of his foot for the entire performance. Like, what are they supposed to do? You know, it's a tough one because I think everyone at home watching was rooting for him. I mean, it was a wonderful performance. He's great. But sometimes you just can't beat out the technical issues.
Right.
Tough. All right, well, let's move on to our lowest score of the night because this one was really heartbreaking, you guys. An 18 went to Skai Jackson and Alan Burstyn. They danced the Cha-Cha to Say So by Doja Cat and Nicki Minaj. They had fun costumes. They started out with such great energy. I personally had such high hopes. But it really was just an off night. She struggled with her footing a little bit. There was a flip situation and the recovery, while it was commendable, it just wasn't enough. So let's take a look at this performance. She's so cute.
I know, she's so cute.
Yeah, so right there, I mean, we can see it. She's so adorable. She's got such a great smile. It was like so close, but they just couldn't fully get back on track. I don't know about you, Avery, but I felt like I could like feel her nerves. I could see it. I think some of it honestly felt a little sloppy and a little rushed.
Yeah.
The moments that they killed though, I mean, they absolutely killed, no questions, but this one was tough. This was definitely not her best.
It was tough. I felt bad too. I just wanted to like give her a hug after that. You could tell from right when the dance started, it was kind of just on her face. Like she felt nervous. And I think after the first time she messed up, she probably got in her head a little more and then just continued to mess up. She also mentioned how she was trying not to slip, and you could kind of tell that she was dancing as if she was trying not to slip. So maybe also there was a issue with her heels, but I mean, poor girl is trying to do college and compete on Dancing with the Stars, probably has a ton on her plate. But of course, she was so appreciative of the judges' commentary, although she messed up, of course. Great girl, just not her best dance.
Oh my God, I love her so much. I feel like she really is so wonderful. She is juggling a ton, like you said, which is really, really impressive. She has been very up and down in the competition. She's the youngest contestant by far. I think it'll be really interesting to see where she goes from here because she had another slip up earlier on and came back with a fire the next week. So my fingers are crossed for her. I think she really is talented. So hopefully next week will be a better week for her.
I agree. I mean, she's super talented. I feel like the only issue right now is just the consistency.
Definitely.
All right, up next we have the night's honorable mention. This performer got a score somewhere in the middle, but showed major improvement from last week, at least in our opinion. We're giving the honorable mention to NELLY this week. NELLY and his partner Daniela danced the Viennese waltz to Humble and Kind by Tim McGraw. First of all, we have to mention NELLY opening up about his background with country music, how he actually has new music coming out with a country influence. I mean, who knew? This was a big week for them. They scored 24 out of 30 in a very tough style. NELLY said after that he was channeling his inner Bruno. Let's take a look.
So good.
So cute. I thought the whole dance was very fluid, very soft, and I thought it was really impressive. I mean, I'm a dancer, so I always like look for little technical things, and he's not a dancer, and he was hitting like those lines and everything. He had a lot of the technique down. What were your thoughts about this?
Oh my God, so I'm also like a retired dancer. So I love that you mentioned that, because those are little things that I feel like week after week, I'm not a judge, I'm not like an expert, but I can see the improvement. Like it was going all the way through his fingertips. Like I don't know, I just feel like there was something about the way he like walked on stage this week and was like, I can do this. Like I'm gonna show you all that I can be graceful. And I think that, I don't know, I feel like this could be a real turning point in the competition for him, because he's always good at the choreography. He's always a charming performer. And this week he took the technical side of things to a place that he hasn't, in my opinion, in the past. So
I totally agree.
So the one critique that he did get was that and he's gotten this before, he has the tendency to be kind of in his shoulders, which they did tell him to watch. But I feel like it's like slow and steady, right? He's like had such improvement so far. We had more in the feet, more in the hips, more in the arms this time. So maybe next week we'll finally get those shoulders down. I don't know. I think he could go far.
I do too. He's been very consistent and has had no bad performances yet.
Totally. All right, let's move on to the heavy hitters, because as much as we root for the underdog, you guys, this competition is intense. So like we said earlier, we had 4 scores of 27, which went to Monica Aldama, AJ McLean, KAITLYN Bristowe, and Justina Machado. We are not going to break down Justina's performance, because you guys, all there literally is to say is that she killed it, as always. She's like so incredible. She's so talented. She's such a good performer. We do need to shout out her incredible message of female empowerment. She is such a strong inspiration. We are obsessed. But you can YouTube her routine for yourself, because we're not going to break that one down for you tonight. We are, though, going to start with Monica Aldama and her partner, Val. They danced the Roomba to Rod Stewart's Have I Told You Lately That I Love You. She dedicated this performance to her husband, who apparently she divorced and remarried. I mean, she really opened up about their incredible, sweet love story. This was a big night for them as a duo. They absolutely nailed it. Let's take a look at this performance. I feel like she looks like the pro.
I was just gonna say that, like, you can't tell who's the pro.
So, I mean, she's so incredible. I think she's always like one to watch. She has been consistently throughout this competition, but this was just like a special night for her. I feel like everything fell into place. She was really light on her feet. One of the judges said they hit the right balance of sensual and romantic, which I feel like is such a good way to describe this performance. What were your thoughts? I mean, so good.
Yes, sensual, romantic, and she made it personal by dedicating it to her husband, and I just thought it was so beautiful. With Monica, I always expect more from her already, just because she is a cheer coach, and although that's not the same as this type of dancing, there are a lot of similarities, a lot of the same technique, and she just knows what a performer is supposed to have, so she really gives off that great like performer aspect, and like you can't, like you said, you can't tell who's the pro, so she did awesome, of course.
Absolutely incredible. Next up, another person that I think we've used that phrase to describe week after week. Like, you can't tell who is the pro, because KAITLYN is so incredible. She and her partner Arden danced this week the Samba to Sorry by Justin Bieber. KAITLYN really opened up about being a true believer. She is seriously a diehard fan. Classic KAITLYN, it was amazing. She's clearly, I mean, you guys, we've been talking about this week after week. She is a top contender in this competition. Let's take a look at what she showed us this week. I mean, she does not miss a step. It was, of course, amazing. She's such a good performer, like in her face. She hits every count. She's so confident. But I do want to talk about what the judges said, because while they were really impressed, Carrie Ann, I mean, specifically said, like, I cannot knock you technically. Technically, you killed it, which is like not a given in this competition. But they were asking for more. I think Derek said he wanted her to attack it more. Carrie Ann, she just was like, she kind of gave her a warning. Like, I know you want to win this. Like, you need to do more. What did you think? Did you feel that? Like, what are your thoughts on KAITLYN?
I mean, the samba is already such a hard dance to do, and she mentioned this was the most difficult dance she's had to learn thus far. But I kind of understand what Carrie Ann means by that, just because already the bar is set a little higher for her, just because she's been so great. But like, I could see how she hit everything technically. So what's left is you need a little more oomph. Like, she could have given a little more, not saying she did bad at all, but like, there's just a little more oomph needed. So I understand what she meant by she wanted more, but still, of course, amazing performance.
Absolutely. I mean, I think with KAITLYN, like, her baseline is adorable. She's got a big smile, you know, she's got a very specific style in the way that she's been performing week after week. And while it's super good, I would love to see, like, I don't know, maybe she just like adds more in the face, like a little more sass, a little more something. It'll be interesting to see like what style she gets next week, and if there's a way for her to kind of like bust out of her mold a little bit. Not that it's not great.
Not that it's not great, just whatever she does, she needs to go even harder.
I totally agree. All right, last but not least, we have Mr. AJ McLean, and you guys, I am so excited that he is in the top this week. He and his partner danced the samba to a J Balvin song. He scored his very first 9 of the season, you guys. This is his highest score yet. He looks like an absolute pro, and I think this performance could truly be the turning point we've all been waiting for from him. Let's take a look. Look at him go!
So good.
Okay, I mean, I feel like he literally, like, maybe I'm, like, just hyped because I love the Backstreet Boys, but I think his performance may have been one of my favorites of the entire evening. Like, he just really looked like he was in his element, and I mean, he's made a career as a performer, as a dancer, so I've been kind of waiting for him to show up and have this sort of moment. What did you think? I thought it was so fun.
I thought it was so fun to watch. I was having fun watching it, and you could tell he was too, and that's always so important when watching people perform. Like, as long as they look like they're having fun and are into it, which he totally was, makes it so much more enjoyable.
Oh, 100%. And like, the energy overall was just like hitting, I think, a different level. The judges were really proud of him. I think there's a really good chance that if he keeps up on like this trend and continues to score in this range, he could stick around, you know, for a while. He could sort of make his way out of the middle and into that top contender group.
I think so too. And I mean, he's doing it right now. That was, I think that was my favorite performance of the night.
Totally. I totally agree. It's so hard because every time I say that, I'm like, no, that one was so good. That one was so good. But really, this week, he stood out. All right. I feel like we could talk about him forever. But before we go, I do want to dive into just like what else happened in tonight's episode, because it was jam-packed. Vernon Davis was, of course, eliminated, which is so sad. But I feel like maybe it was his time. It felt like the right call just based on their performances to save Johnny. But it was still sad. It was sad.
Yeah, it was sad.
It was tough. But I think that Johnny has been given, I mean, Carrie Ann didn't vote to save him. So he's been given like a bit of a warning from the judges. He needs to keep showing up. All right, who's next? Chrishell, big fans of Chrishell over here. She gave a very powerful, emotional performance. She dedicated it to both of her parents, who she tragically lost of cancer. And she really, really shined tonight. This was contemporary, so it was a different style. And I'm curious if there's any correlation to like, maybe she does better with some of the different styles as opposed to the more traditional ballroom. But this was a big night. It was her highest score yet. What did you think of her performance?
So beautiful. I just loved all the emotion in it. And I agree. I feel like she could be better with the less traditional styles. That's also what I picked up from watching this. But I know I just said this. Another one of my most favorite performances of the night, actually.
Yeah, no, it was really, really powerful, and it felt like a big win for her. It felt like there was just something different, like something worked tonight. So very, very happy for her. We've been kind of waiting.
Especially because
Tyler and I love her.
Yeah, no, I love her too. Especially because there was so much meaning behind this dance as well, and she gave off that much emotion. It was that much more powerful and personal for her.
100%. Another really, really powerful night for Jeannie Mai. She danced to the Rumba and opened up about her family's history of escaping from Vietnam. I mean, it was such a powerful, beautiful story. She was literally moved to tears during the performance. It was so meaningful for her. And it got her first sign of the season. So a really good night for Jeannie as well. What did you think of her performance?
Great night. It's crazy how you could put a message to a dance and it just adds so much more to it. All this emotion, all this power, and to see her feel that and have an audience feel that throughout the performance just makes it so much bigger. So I think this was also a great night for her.
Absolutely. So Avery, this question gets harder and harder each week, but who do you think is going to come out on top next week, surprise us, keep the momentum going? Who are you expecting big things from?
You know, I think maybe just based off history, Skai will come back and surprise us again because she has been known to do that. Although she had a slip up tonight and it was not her best performance, she's pretty rebounding. So I'm kind of expecting her to make a comeback next week.
I totally agree. I think Johnny also kind of in the same boat. This was not his best week, so he could come back with a vengeance next week. I hope both of them do. And, Nelly really came to play this week, so I have high hopes for him as well. You guys, that is everything we have to share with you. That was the best and worst of this week's Dancing with the Stars. We, of course, want to know your thoughts. Do you agree with the judges? Who are you rooting for? Who do you think is going to win this thing? The competition is so intense. So let us know all your thoughts and feelings down in the comments. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell because we will be back talking Dancing with the Stars next week. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. You can follow me on socials at Fiona Zaring. Avery, thank you so much for joining us. Where can they find you?
You could follow me on socials at Avery Grooms. And yeah, this was so fun. I love doing this.
Oh my God, yeah, I had so much fun too. All right, you guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.